Rounds. Senator Hirono.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Kane, with all due respect to you, we should not be here today. This hearing is happening only because of the unprecedented dismissal without cause of General Brown as chairman. As a highly respected military leader, General Brown faithfully served our country for decades. He provided exactly what the Constitution asks of him, the best nonpartisan military advice to civilian leadership. However, for an administration that is claiming to be the most, quote, transparent in history, end quote, no reasonable justification has been provided.
What's going on, Patriots? Welcome back to Right View Nation channel, where truth, tradition, and the Constitution come first. If you love this country, believe in freedom, and you're tired of the constant attacks on American values, then you're in the right place. Today, I want to respond to a clip that's making the rounds. Senator Mazie Hirono, a hard-left Democrat from Hawaii, attacking President Trump over what she calls the unprecedented removal of General Brown as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Now, Forbes Breaking News posted this video, and as usual, it's filled with the same tired narrative that the left has been pushing for years. Trump's a dictator, Trump hates the Constitution, Trump only wants yes men, blah, blah, blah. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Let's break this down, Patriot style.
For General Brown's termination. Instead, General Brown's dismissal reveals, once again, President Trump's intention to install yes men and women with fealty to him and not to the Constitution or the American people. Now, General King, you said you will always speak truth to power in your responses to advanced questions. And you indicated that you would provide independent advice. But let me just mention what happens to people who stand up to President Trump. General Milley, who was a former chair of Joint Chiefs, stood up to President Trump. And here's what happened to him. President Trump took away his security detail, his security clearance. He even took down his portrait in the Pentagon. That's not all. General Milley is now under investigation by the department's inspector general to see if he will be able to retire as a four-star general. It's always a challenge to stand up to this president. Let me just start with the two initial questions, and I'll get to some of the questions that have to do with your fitness to serve. I ask these questions of all nominees on any of the committees on which I sit. Since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
I have not, Senator.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement relating to this kind of conduct?
I have not, Senator.
General, you've been asked a number of questions regarding what the president attributed to you. That is how it's been reported, that you wore a MAGA hat. You testified you did not. If you did wear a MAGA hat, would that constitute partisan political activity by a uniformed officer?
Senator, I did not wear any political merchandise.
If you wore such a hat, would that constitute partisan political activity by a uniformed officer, yes or no?
I think it probably would, yes, Senator.
Thank you. General King, you've been asked also a number of questions about what's being referred to as Signal Gate. And I commend the chair of this committee and the ranking member for asking for an IJ inquiry. You were the director for special access programs at the Pentagon, an office that manages our nation's most classified programs. Have you ever discussed classified information on an unclassified medium, such as Signal?
No, Senator, I've not.
What would be the consequences for discussing a special access program on Signal?
Well, Senator, we'd have to first do an investigation. We'd have to look into the particular matters associated with it. We'd have to consult with counsel to determine what the way forward was, and then ultimately turn it over to the leadership in the department.
And you wouldn't just let this matter drop, which is basically what this administration wants to do.
Well, Senator, I think that it's a little bit of a hypothetical situation asking me about what would happen if a SAP was dropped into Signal.
It's really not a hypothetical. It is what is confronting this administration and what's happening. You know that we need to preserve the element of surprise. Is discussing the kinds of matters that were discussed on Signal preserving the element of surprise?
Senator, I don't want to, given the fact that the chairman and ranking member have been asked for an investigation, I don't want to comment on the particulars. I do want to stay at the strategic altitude and say that we should always preserve the element of surprise.
I think it was a very simple question whether or not talking about the things that have been reported, whether that preserved the element of surprise. I would say that if you're truly speaking truth to power, that the answer would obviously be no, it does not preserve the element of surprise. That is why we need to have an inquiry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator.
right. So, right out of the gate, Senator Hirono claims that this hearing shouldn't even be happening, and that it's all because of Trump's so-called unprecedented dismissal of General Brown. First of all, let's get something straight. The President of the United States, under Article 2 of the Constitution, is the Commander-in-Chief. That means he has the authority to appoint and, yes, remove top military leaders. Period. That is not a crime. That is his constitutional duty. And when it comes to choosing military leadership, guess what? The president should absolutely be choosing people he can trust, not career bureaucrats who spend more time pandering to MSNBC than actually defending this country. Ah, yes, the classic Trump only wants yes men argument. You hear this all the time. But here's the truth. President Trump wants accountability, not obedience. There's a huge difference. For decades, we've had generals in Washington who are more focused on woke trainings, DEI seminars, and playing political games than they are about military readiness, border security, or standing up to China. General Brown, no disrespect, was part of that system. He might be respected in the military world, but if he wasn't aligned with the Commander-in-Chief's vision for restoring American strength, then yeah, it's time for a change. And then Hirono starts crying about General Milley. Folks, let's not forget who Milley is. This is the same guy who said he wanted to understand white rage. This is the same guy who called the Chinese military behind President Trump's back to reassure them while Trump was still president. That's not patriotic. That's treasonous. If President Trump stripped him of clearance and removed his portrait from the Pentagon, good. He disgraced the uniform by putting his politics before his duty. And now we're supposed to feel sorry for him? Give me a break. Now here's where it gets truly ridiculous. Hirono starts asking General K, who I believe is a stand-up officer, about whether he's ever committed sexual misconduct. Now look, I get it, vetting matters. But when you throw these kinds of questions out there with no evidence, no context, it's nothing more than character assassination. It's a political ambush dressed up as due diligence. This is the left's playbook. If they can't beat you on facts, they'll try to destroy your reputation. Then she gets to the MAGA hat. You've got to love it. They act like putting on a Make America Great Again hat is some kind of crime. Newsflash, Senator Hirono. Millions of Americans wear that hat every day because they believe in this country. They believe in borders, law and order, and putting America first. If wearing a red hat is now partisan activity, then what do you call waving Ukrainian flags on Capitol Hill or flying rainbow flags over military bases? You don't get to pick and choose what's political based on what you agree with. Then she goes on a rant about Signalgate, claiming classified info might have been shared on an encrypted app. Again, zero evidence, just speculation. She wants an investigation not based on facts, but on rumors. And General K handles it like a pro, saying, no, I've never done that, and explaining the process for handling it if it ever did happen. You know what the left wants here? They want a scandal. They want a headline. Doesn't matter if it's true. They just want something to scream about on CNN. Listen, folks. This video shows you everything that's wrong with the modern Democratic Party. Instead of focusing on national defense, border security, or combat readiness. They're more concerned about Trump derangement syndrome, political theater, and destroying anyone who stands in their way. President Trump isn't perfect. No one is. But he understands something critical. This country is under attack from within. And we need leaders in the military who are focused on winning wars, not winning headlines. Senator Hirono and her friends can keep crying about MAGA hats and pushing bogus scandals. But out here in the real world, we're fighting for America. So stay strong, stay loud, and stay proud, Patriots. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and drop a comment below. Do you think President Trump was right to clean house at the Pentagon? Until next time, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.